Hello everyone, this is Martin. Welcome back to another video presentation. This time we're looking at the trading opportunities for March the 6th to the 10th. And as always, first of all, I want to welcome all new subscribers. Thank you very much for that, and and also to all the current students and traders here in the GTA and around the world. So, March the 6th to 10th, that's what we're going to be looking at. I'm finally glad to be getting into March. Finally glad that February is over, and for all those traders that do not understand the Canadian weather here. The February tends to be the harshest month of the year with some brutal weather, extreme cold temperatures, as well as often snow. And it's always nice when we can say goodbye to February and move into March. Sometimes March also gives us some pretty bad weather, but the closer we get to April, that's what we're looking for. We look forward to the nicer, warmer weather coming up. And as always, we look forward to the opportunities for this coming week. So, last week we had some pretty good moves, and the U.S. currency showed its strength in a big way, and it just charged forward. Forward, it became the strongest currency for all the major currencies. And this week, after the strong moves by the U.S. dollar, I expect pullbacks. Okay, so. Um, I expect currency pairs to pull back first. This is what I'm looking at after a strong move, and then I'm looking and waiting for confirmation that price will continue in the same direction as last week's move. So this is what I'm looking for. I believe all or most of the major currency pairs will pull back first, just a wee bit. So short-term pullbacks or retracements or whatever you want to call it, or whatever terms you are familiar with, and then I expect a continuation back to continue with last week's movements. In other words, continued U.S. strength. So, as always, we start with the Euro USD, and we're going to get into the daily charts. Let's take a look. Okay, here's the Euro USD daily, and this is the one pair that's really, really interesting. It's a little bit different. It's not correlating along with some of the other currency pairs. It actually went higher, which indicated strength of the euro versus the US dollar as opposed to the other way, which is the theme of my presentation today. But it went higher, and you can take a look at this huge bullish candle. Now, the interesting thing is, usually after a big, huge up move, we have a bit of a retracement and then possibly a move to the upside. My short-term bias is actually a little bit higher, and I've drawn in two trend lines. You can see this trend line right here. Just follow my cursor, okay? Then I've got this other trend line right here, okay? So so price could possibly move much higher up to the lower trend line. You see here's the 100 SMA as well, the upper trend line. And if it does, I expect a reversal to the downside. I actually expect to bounce off we can call all of this a confluence of resistance here. That's the 100 SMA, the trend lines, and so on, okay? Also, take a look at the previous swing high here. We had a huge up candle, down candle. So it's possible price may also reverse down from here and then break this support zone. So with this one, you want to be very cautious. The euro has showed surprising strength against US dollar, but it's contrary to what everyone else thinks it should be doing. So, in the short term, we could expect it to go a bit higher. You may want to wait for a reverse to the downside. However, if it does go higher, I'd be looking for a bounce lower, and you'd want to see this area. I've got an arrow there, so you'd want to see price come up and then bounce off of this area, the 106, let's say 106.80 area. If price goes higher and bounces down lower, then I'd certainly take a sell trade to the downside. And of course, if price breaks down below here, price is going to go to the previous swing low. You can see that right here as well. Okay, so that's what I see there. Now we get into the British pound USD daily, and it's definitely trending lower. By trending lower, I mean it's making a lower high to the previous high, okay, and a previous low to the, I'm sorry, a new lower low to the previous low here. So it seems to be trending lower. Notice one thing, I use trend lines a lot, and this is kind of really neat. I really enjoy using trend lines. I drew a trend line a while ago right here. You can take a look at my cursor, my mouse here. Um, so you can see I drew a trend line. Price did break below the 50 SMA, and price did come down right to where the trend line is. And notice it wants to bounce higher again. So in the short term, again, with the staying with the theme of this video, I expect price to come up a little bit higher and then reverse back down to the downside. So if price goes up higher, we want to sell under 123.50. Okay, so again, what I mean is that we could expect price to come up a little bit higher and then reverse back down to the downside. And just look for a sell below 123.50. Okay, so now let's take a look here at the next pair, and we're looking at the Australian USD. Okay, here price had a huge drop last week. Um, there was a huge bearish. Take a look at the weekly chart. I've just turned this to the weekly. You can see a huge black bearish candle there. Let's go back to the daily. And again, prices come down to a support zone. So I expect price maybe in the short term come a bit higher. Usually after big drop, like any candle that drops that much, and how many pips was that? Let me just take a look. Got my crosshair on. Okay, so that's a 115 pip drop, pretty big for one day. Again, take a look at the previous candle. So you can see this is one of the largest candles, oh, going back quite a ways, right? Anyways, I always expect a pullback after a big drop. So pullback up to here, up to here. You just have to, just have to keep an eye on that. You can obviously turn to the lower time frame charts, like the 4-hour charts or the 1-hour charts, if you're more of a if you want a better entry type of thing. But what we're doing is we're looking for price again to go higher. Okay, so again, price to go higher and then come back down. And you could look at a sell. Actually, price may go up to the 76. Let me just take that off for a second. Price may come all the way up to the 76.80 area. Could come up pretty high. There's a possibility of that, but we want to sell right here. If price comes back down, let me see what the price is below 76. 70, yeah, 76.20, 76.30. If price comes up there and then drops back down. So that's kind of the area I'm looking at. 76, well, 20 to 30. Okay. I've drawn that with the horizontal line right here. You can see the price on the right hand side. So I expect price to come down, but in the short term to go a little higher. Okay. Now, let's take a look at gold. We always look at gold just to see if we can find further clues for the Australian US dollar. And you can see um, gold has actually broken the lower trend line. I use trend lines as support, in this case, support and resistance here. And I mentioned a while ago that gold had been trending higher within a kind of a bullish channel here. Okay. And finally, it's broke to the downside in a big way, showing that the sellers are in control. Um, the buyers tried to bring price up a bit. It ended up being kind of a little, doji candle here, but I expect price to either come up just a wee bit higher and then come right back down. And where's it going to come down? If it's going to come down lower, you can see the 100 SMA here. The 50 SMA is meeting up with the 100. So anywhere down to here, gold may eventually come down just a wee bit lower. Also look at the previous swing low here, right? So if we're doing that, um, and I've just drawn in the area. So gold could come down a little bit lower before maybe going higher again, but I think it's going to come down lower first, and that could reflect on the Australian US dollar. Okay, let's take that off. And now we get to the New Zealand USD. Now, this pair is definitely trending lower. Again, you can see lower highs to the previous high. We're at lower low. We've established a lower low to the previous low here. We've certainly broken the 50 SMA. I mean, prices on this pair, prices just dropped like a rock, and probably was the weakest of the major currency pairs. So the New Zealand dollar was the weakest against the USD, and uh, all I see is for price to keep dropping down further. Take a look at the MACD. The histo bars are perfectly lined up, pushing the MACD line lower. I mean, this is basically I'm looking at the wind behind the sails. So I expect price perhaps maybe to go up a little bit higher, but then just drop down to the next major support zone there. Okay. So further downward movement for the New Zealand USD. And again, just quickly take a look at the weekly chart. You can see this huge black kind of bearish engulfing candle. So it's definitely going to go down further. Well, that's what I think, anyways. Nothing's definite in this world, folks, and anything can happen. But certainly looks like it's going to be heading down. Now we get to the US CAD. Let's take a look. Wow, this is one of the parent currency pairs that's shooting up to the stars. And take a look at this movement. How many pips do you think that is? Okay, I will tell you 320 pips to the upside from down here. So certainly after a huge up movement, and price always moves in cycles. It moves up and down, right? Up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, up. And what comes after up? Well, down. So that's why, again, I'm looking for a pullback. Already you can see on last Friday with this candle, this is a bearish pin bar indicating certainly the sellers coming in. Where will price come down to? Well, always look at the next level of support. In this case, I've already drawn in the gray rectangle for you, so price could come down all the way there. But take a look at this rising. See this little green line? That's the 8 EMA. It's soon going to come above the 100. Okay, so take a look where price comes down to almost hit the 8 EMA. So if we are in a strong uptrend, and if we're trending higher, what usually happens is price stays above the 8 EMA. It may come down to bounce off of it, but I expect price to go higher. Take a look at the arrow I've got here for you. So watch for pullback, buy above 133.50 if we want to wait for the pullback, and that probably would be your best bet. So wait for price to pull back, and then watch price go higher again, buy above 133.50. But price may come down all the way down to this area, which could be another great area for buy trade. And what else do I have to say about this? I think that's about it. Take a look at the MACD histo bars. Uh, getting in right above here to at least the next resistance would have given you 72 pips, but then once it broke resistance, that it would have given you another 101 pips. So this, for anyone that traded this currency last week, well, congratulations. You did quite well on this one. So this is the daily, And now we're going to get to oil. And oil, you can see here last week, this is the daily chart. Well, first of all, the very first thing that you want to look at is we had a break of the trend line. Okay, so you take a look where my cursor is, my mouse. Started here, joined the trend line here, and finally price in a big way not only broke the trend line but broke below the 50 SMA. So we're expecting further downward pressure. Oil, where could it come to? Well, I've drawn another trend line. You can see, guys, I enjoy drawing trend lines. I really believe it helps. And right now, price could come down all the way down to this trend line here. So I expect further downward movement, and that obviously would reflect in how the Canadian currency does against the US currency. If oil continues coming down, then the Canadian dollar just weakens along with it. Okay, let's take a look at the next one, US Swiss franc. This one's a tough one to trade. It's just kind of going sideways again. It did kind of break above the 50 SMA. It did not quite establish a new higher high. Kind of, it's not definitive. Price came right back down. It's laying at support here, but I believe price may just come down a wee bit more. Again, we're talking about pullbacks this week, right? Then watch and wait for evidence to the upside. So really what you want to do with this one, you want to buy above 101.40, which is here. Um, okay, so when price reverses goes higher, you want to buy above 101.40 or 101.50. But I think price may come down just a wee bit, then just you know head back higher again. Okay, so that's what I think about that. And finally, we get to the last pair, and as always, it's the US Japanese. This one, we had a good, nice uptrend last week. Take a look at my long-term trend line. You can see right here, price broke the trend line to this major support zone. You can see that it's bounced off support, gone higher, bounced off support, gone higher. So we really are in a kind of a sideways channel here. Just keeps up, down, up, down, up. Now the question is, will it bounce off the trend line and the 50 SMA and come back down again? If it does, what you want to do is wait then for a bounce off the support again and take a buy trade higher, or just wait for a complete break above the 50 and above this area. And what you want to do then is wait for a buy above 115.50. 115.50 if we think price is going to go higher. Okay, so that is what I see for this week. The theme again, the U.S. currency was very strong last week. Now it's time for maybe a bit of a break. Let's watch for the pullbacks, and then wait for the evidence for a continuation to the movements that were established last week with the strength of the U.S. currency. Okay, so take care, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if you want any further information on what I do and what I teach. And if you want more information on the courses and learning materials, contact me. My name is Martin, MSKYJ007 at gmail.com. Nothing fancy about that. Just if you're interested, send me an email. I'd love to talk to you and give you any more information that you require. So happy trading for this coming week. Take care. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.